To be honest, I don't know how to charge this without shooting it.
And I fell. Bounties. But he's dead for right now, so he's gonna leave us alone now.
Alright, well, if I kill you, it's not my fault.
I don't believe that for a minute.
Oh, my armistice zone privileges are revoked.
No, it looked like I got hit by my own ship when I was getting out of the seat.
Another NPC. Yep, he's dead. Oh, no, he ran away. Welcome, everybody, to State of the Verse. This is the weekly news show brought to you by Amarok Spang and myself, Dark Hour 717. And as always, we have our co-host, Jay Skell, here with us. And what's going on, man?
Not much. Saturday night, a little tired from all the yard work, but yeah, here.
Summer going into fall, and you'll be shoveling snow before you know it.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, I got off easy, not having to mow the lawn over the summer with the people in the neighborhood that take care of it. So
Nice.
I will have to shovel my own snow, but thankfully I have a snowblower. Come to find out, I have to go through and do a tune-up on it, make sure it's up to date though.
Yeah, I got one a few years back because we don't get a ton of snow here, but sometimes we get some heavy snow. So.
Oh yeah, here we'll get 6 inches in a night, no problem. Best thing about the Midwest.
I miss snow.
Oh, I love snow. All right. So this is the weekly show that we bring you all the latest and greatest information from things such as This Week in Star Citizen Live, Inside Star Citizen, the Roadmap Roundup. And actually, really some great information this week, but not a huge amount of information. As everybody knows, we're coming up on CitizenCon on October 9th. And keep your eye out because we will be streaming at least a number of the different panels as they're going live online and kind of giving you our thoughts and reactions to them. We'll definitely be covering the opening with Chris Roberts as well as the ship panel. And I believe, Jay Skill, you had an interest in some of the more technical panels, so we'll make sure we'll cover those as well, too. And we'll try to bring in a couple of guests from the org to join us as well, too, to make it enjoyable but still presentable so that you can hear what's going on with that. So keep an eye out for that. That's going to be October 9th. The times are still not yet determined. Of course, updates for this week. If you haven't heard, Evocady's got 315. So went to Evocady last night, my time, which is Eastern Standard Time. About, I think, 7, 8 o'clock, it went over to Evocady. They have the first build and they're going through and testing it. So pretty much great news. That means that probably anywhere from 2 to 3 weeks, we're going to see it go wave 1 if everything goes smoothly. Looking at the SE Leaks Discord, definitely a couple of things coming through there that are very interesting, though we'll let you check that out for yourself because here we'll try to stick to official release information if at all possible. But if you're on the SE Leaks Discord, check it out. There's a lot of information there that's very interesting, as well as some screenshots. But that's great news. I'm excited to see 315. Actually just did that video about 5 reasons why I think it's the best time for people that are just getting into the verse or that have left temporarily, a great time for them to come back. So I think there's a lot of new stuff coming in here that's going to hopefully introduce a lot of improvement.
We were just chatting earlier. I'm excited and seeing some of the stuff that is coming out with some of the leaks and hearing some of the reporting that's going on. Sounds like the medical stuff is just, to me, like some exciting stuff. Like we're getting some more details, I'll say, than what we've been given through like Inside Star Citizen and other posts that they put out that answers, I think, some of the questions I've had as to how granular some of the stuff will be, how detailed it'll be. and then just the fidelity of some of the screens that we're going to get for diagnosing and managing some of this stuff. Sounds like the inventory piece is a little rough, but I think most of us expected it to be. It's step one, but personally, I'm excited about it. This is an awesome change.
Oh yeah, definitely, and huge. I mean, big. I mean, this is gonna reach out to every aspect of the game and change everything from your bounties to even something as simple as just running cargo missions and everything with how the inventory works and how the medical gameplay works and all that. So I'm excited for it. So keep an eye out for more information on that as we get more information from the Evocity testing as well as any information put out by CIG. Of course, if it comes from CIG, you'll see it here on State of the Verse. Also, 2951 Ship Showdown. It's over. And the little tug that could, the MPUV, it won it all. Some controversy on this. Obviously, there's most responses I see, people think it's great, think it's funny. The little meme that could. And there are definitely some people out there who are legitimately upset about this. And as anybody that kind of tracked the Ship Showdown knows, there was some manipulation. Even CIG came out with a tweet, I think it was, talking about, or even in the Spectrum, talking about creating extra accounts to do additional voting be above and beyond what their solo accounts would allow, but that they knew what the real results were. Um, Honestly, the Ship Showdown is a fun event. It's fun. It's great if you own the ships. You get to vote for your favorites, but it has no real bearing on anything in the game other than a paint, a backpack, or a jacket. And of course, all four of the finalists get the paint and the jacket. The MPUV will get the backpack. But I take it as, let's have a sense of humor. And we talked about this earlier last week on the last episode of Stay of the Verse, that there were even groups that were running charity benefits for the MPUV to advance to each level. Which honestly, I'm not going to complain about that. But I think we need to just kind of look at it as it's a fun event and it's meant to be fun. It's not something to be taken overly serious. I like my little MPUV. I mean, what's your? I know you stayed your view last week on the State of the Verse with that, but I mean, what are you seeing as far as like people being salty about this?
I think a lot of people were being salty mostly because they've labeled the MPUV as a useless ship. It has no role right now in the PU, and you could argue that there are several ships right now in the PU that don't have a role because their gameplay isn't available.
Reclaimer.
Um, yeah, Reclaimer, Herald. But yeah, that was the crux of it. Really, well, I'll say those were the arguments that I felt like were had some standing as far as like the rest were just people getting salty because they wanted their MSR to win or they wanted to see the Hercules win or
The
yeah, they had a
609.
favorite, right? And so they felt like it was unfair, and people were making a mockery of this sacred ship showdown. The fun part is after all of it was done in I don't remember which it was on Spectrum, but I don't remember which forum I was in when I saw it. But somebody was starting trying to start some stuff around getting the gray cat in. So I
PTV
was
for
like,
life.
exactly the PTV next year. So yeah, that'll be it'll be interesting if they do it again. But yeah, no, look, I was voting for ships that hadn't won, in the early rounds, right? So if there was a ship that was going up against another ship that had already won a best in show skin, I was voting for the ship that didn't have it. But
Yeah.
that was my method. I wasn't rooting against or for the MPUV. I was along for the ride. So
I will admit I was rooting for that little orange bastard. I like it. It's like you said, it doesn't have a real purpose right now. Its intended purpose is to really transport things from the Idris, from the 890, once you can start moving things back and forth or personnel with the personnel version. but like you said, there's plenty of ships in the verse that don't have a purpose because their gameplay loop isn't there. But I look at it as the game is here for us to have fun. The ship showdown does not have any correlation to the live universe whatsoever. So let's have a sense of humor with it. Let's have some fun with it. Obviously, I saw some comments on some videos that people were really upset about this, like angrily upset that, it doesn't qualify as a ship. It doesn't have, what it takes to actually be a ship, but by their definition of what it takes to be a ship would also rule out other candidates. So
Yeah.
it's time to take a step back and kind of have a sense of humor about this. And
Yeah.
you think about the good that came from it. I don't have any confirmation as well as to whether the charity things were real or if they actually donated what they said they were going to donate. But if what was rumored is true, then what, all the much more for it. If you're helping out other people throughout the world that need assistance right now,
Yeah.
I am not going to say no to that.
Yeah. Makes sense.
So, but Ship Showdown 2951 is done. The MPV has won. All four of the finalists, the MSR, the 600i, the MPUV, as well as the C2 will get their skin and a jacket. And of course, the cargo will get the backpack. And I saw a great representation of what somebody recommended for a backpack on Reddit. I'm going to see if I can get that picture to put into the video because I hope to God they do that.
Well, there was a post from CIG. It looks like everybody's going to get the backpack. Any backer that shows up to IAE is going to actually get the backpack. It'll be influenced. The design will be influenced by the Argo cargo.
Right.
So, just a clarification. I thought that it was going to be just owners of the Argo cargo
Yeah.
that got it, but I think it's going to be everybody. So
Yeah, that'll be great. And in case I can't get the picture onto the final video here, basically it was an Argo cargo as a backpack miniaturized with shoulder straps, and you just had a Argo cargo parked on your back. So I think that would be a great design for it, better than just an orange box. And
yeah,
I'm really hoping that somebody at CIG saw that and makes it real. So because that would be great. It would have to be a light backpack, which of course, if you watch the inventory, there's 3 different levels to the backpacks. I would imagine that anything we get here is going to be a light duty backpack here.
yeah.
So some stuff to look forward to with that. Of course, we got Halloween celebrations coming up. October is right around the corner, and that's when CIG runs their Halloween specials. Last year, of course, we saw the Fieldberry Bear helmets as well as the Van Duel helmet and also the Hill Horror helmet. And you had to do different tasks to get them. The Fieldberry you had to actually pledge for. I'm hoping, and I don't know what they're planning on. I would imagine we'll see the bear helmets again because those are just hilarious. I may see it in the same colors. Maybe they'll throw some different colors in there. I still have mine, and I wear it from time to time just for a good laugh and the googly eyes. And then the Van Duel helmet. A lot of people have this. It was 50 unique kills under certain circumstances. I didn't get it. I'm not a fan of it. I didn't feel the need to go out and do it. But of course, last year we saw orgs organizing kill parties to get people through, which I'm all for. I have no problem with that if there are people that want it, helping them out to get it. That's all good and community support and all that. It's just not something that I wanted to go for. But I did get the Hill Horror, which was a fun mask to get. I haven't worn it since Halloween last year, but that was just, you got that by going to Benny Henge. So whether we're going to see those same things or if we're going to see something new, we'll find out hopefully here in the next week and be able to go from there. And of course, we got the ghoulish green paint that came out on the Cuddy Black last year. So we have to see what they may introduce as far as the special Halloween skin for other vehicles or even maybe the Cuddy again this year. Is it going to be the same, just expanded out, or is it going to be a new combination that we'll see specific for Halloween of 2951?
Jack-o'-lantern.
MPUV jack-o'-lantern paint.
There you go. Perfect.
Because in the video on the MPUV Ship Showdown commercial, I almost threw in the line that this ain't your great pumpkin, Charlie Brown. but they
Seasonal.
could make it the Great Pumpkin. So I think everybody out there is familiar with what the Great Pumpkin is. Charlie
Hopefully.
Brown's in like 150 different languages, so
Yeah.
so it'll be interesting to see what new swag they come out with this year and all that to celebrate Halloween. It's usually a good time. Everybody has fun with it, and again, we're here to have fun and just relax and enjoy the verse. So we had Xenothreat finish up. We finally got the finished stats for that, and actually kind of interesting. And it was actually, I won't say worse than I thought, but it was interesting, I'll say. So the stats that they put out on the Xenothreat, and this is all on the RSI webpage, the main webpage, there was a total of 1,244,000 crates delivered roughly, 11,404 Idrises destroyed, 734,272 missions started, 308,601 missions completed, 51,828 failed, which means that the people got all the way through but did not meet the criteria to move on to the next phase or end the final mission, which that math leaves us at 373,843 abandoned or deactivated. This includes 30Ks, freezes, failure to progress through, or people just left for whatever reason and didn't continue through and complete it. That is some staggering numbers. I know we had plenty of times we get in, it wouldn't progress, it wouldn't go on to the second phase, or the second Idris wouldn't come in and all that. That's still staggering numbers that you had pretty much over a 50% average of failure rate for abandon, which meant your 30Ks or freezes.
Yeah, and I'd love to see like that compared to what we did in the PTU, because I felt like we were grinding away in the PTU before it finally came to the PU, and I feel like those numbers. I feel those numbers. How's that?
Oh yeah, I mean, we had a great time still doing it, and I
Oh
won't
yeah,
knock Xenothreat because even when we didn't get to finish it, it was great fun doing it. It's
yeah,
a hell of a gameplay loop to play, and I hope to only see more of it.
yeah.
But the numbers are definitely surprising.
Yeah, that's it. I was gonna say like a couple of the other stats that they have in there are like the deadliest player ships. They
Yeah,
had like the top five, and then the most destroyed player ships. I was not surprised to see what number one was.
it was the Avenger Titan, wasn't it?
No, it was the Cuddy Black.
Well, yeah, a lot of people love the Cuddy Black, but no, but when you look at the numbers, though, if you think about 51,828 missions failed, that compared to 373,000 abandoned, that's where I'm most surprised that most people who started and had the opportunity to go all the way through got all the way through. That out of hell, 750,000 playthroughs, 51,000 only failed to complete the objective. So
Yeah,
it's definitely interesting. Again, that's all on the RSI webpage. Interesting information, like J Scale said. They've got the most destroyed ship, they've got the highest ranked players with the most kills, and some other interesting information. If you're interested in those stats, check those out. You can get right to it from the main page. Of course, that brings us into the end of September, which means the jump point is released. Our subscriber flare is going to be a set of parody t-shirts. We saw t-shirts come in for subscriber flare about 2 years ago, right before the sunglasses with Big Benny's and torpedo burrito, things like that. But these are going to be parodies of those. Instead of Big Benny's, you're going to have Big Berry. So I'm not much of a t-shirt guy. What's your take on this?
uh, I find them humorous. I think somebody. I don't think it's one of our org members. It might be one of the visiting other orgs. Somebody else that was participating in the Discord for the org. Looking forward to the day when we're forced out of our armor and we have to run around in civilian clothes and people seeing these shirts on people.
Me personally, I don't see a point to it. It's a waste of time because I'm just going to do what I got to do and then get back to my ship and go back out into space. But it is interesting to see what they offer, and they offer that ability to do that. And
Yeah.
there's been some interesting glitches with it as far as top hats poking out the top of a helmet or armor set or something like that.
Yep.
Sunglasses that never get removed and they're on under your helmet. Of course, with the jump point, we also got the main focus on that is the Q&A with the developers of Xenothreat and the process that it takes to create that, organize it, and launch it. We also got the Whitley's Guide to the top 4 ships from the ship showdown. And of course, the last section in there is lore behind the Ninetales. So if you're somebody that's into the lore and the history between the different aspects of Star Citizen, definitely a interesting read there. Check that out. You have access to it if you're a subscriber through the subscriber vault. So definitely something to take a look at. Roadmap was really bare this week though.
That was really short.
And of course, mostly probably because of Citizen Con, and we've had a lot of stuff in the past ones as far as some of the ships that are ready to go out of white box and out of final artist rendering. This week, what we got?
So as we already said, it's really short. So it looked like the focus was on 315 primarily. So rest stop, space clinics, Orison Hospital, and New Babbage Hospital all passed their final reviews. So they flipped over to committed. So they're in for 315. That's leaving out the ships, the Size 7 weapons for the Inferno and the Ion, the clinic at Grim Hex also is still not flipped over yet. So there's still some cards that are open for 315. I'm kind of annoyed that the so many are open for the ships. Like all of the ships are still open, but
Yeah.
and then they removed the Outpost Homestead card from the tracker temporarily while they discuss proper timing for when the outpost will be coming back in. And once they finish those discussions, they'll put it back on the tracker.
Yeah, because I got to imagine the outposts, I mean, especially with the inventory change and picking your home base of operations and all that, may have thrown a wrench into that. So I did not see, I saw some excitement around having the outpost, but I did not really see a lot of people dying for them to get in.
Well, it gives us more of a points of interest to visit on the planets and the moons and whatnot, right? Because
Yeah.
I mean, right now, if you go to like a Shubin mining facility on any planet or moon, it's pretty much going to be the same as what's on any. It's the same buildings, it's the same layout, it's the
Yeah.
same. So there's a few things here and there that are interesting to visit, but primarily it's kind of boring, kind of the same stuff. So I figure with that, it would give you a little bit more, I'll say, points of interest to kind of check out.
And maybe we'll finally get another point of interest on our corp.
Yeah.
Of course, I expect that there's going to be big announcements at CitizenCon. That's coming up on October 9th. That's going to start 3 p.m. UTC time. If you check the RSI site, it will tell you what your local time will be for the start of it. And you and I were talking that believe this is going to be a 1 day thing, actually, looking at the website a little more in detail because it does say date October 9th. It doesn't mention 9th and 10th or 9th, 10th, and 11th. It appears we've got 7 panels plus the opening and closing with Chris Roberts. So if they start at 3, they could definitely get through it in a day. It's going to be all digital. They've announced the digital goodies that are going to be released with the Citizen Con for the backers. You're going to get the RRS Specialist Light Armor and the Fallout variant RRS Knife, as well as a fancy schmancy 2951 Citizen Con trophy for your hangar that you can't go into right now. So now the armor, though, is what I'm most excited about because, as we'll talk about with Inside Star Citizen, we saw the Theta Geo information when you're got like that complete set of armor. It gives it a little bit more flair with that cowl with the RSS and everything, and that armor actually looks really sharp.
I'm there's something about the helmet and the cowl around the neck. It looks almost lizard-like to me. I keep thinking like V or the old Star Trek lizard people that Kirk fought. I don't know. It looks lizard-like to me.
See, for me,
If
it
it were,
reminded me more of something out of Destiny.
Yeah, I
It
guess.
really kind of struck me as something out of something like that. But it is something I will gladly take. Not that I'm going to move out of my Shrike or anything, but to have an alternative for videos and different things. I love my Shrike armor. I don't think you'll ever get me to get rid of that. And my Paladin helmet,
Yeah, I like my Paladin helmet.
except when I put on the Butcher helmet to whisper Argo Cargo. All right, so October 1st, we're going to see details announced for the Tobii Eye Tracker Stroll Down Memory Lane giveaway. So keep an eye out for that. There's going to be a contest in regards to being able to win a Tobii Eye Tracker, as well as on October 1st, they'll release info on the contest for the Astro Gaming headset, which is going to be based upon throwing a watch party for CitizenCon. There's a custom, and of course, we don't know what it looks like or anything. It's just that it's a custom Astro Gaming headset. I would imagine it's going to be themed off of Star Citizen. So keep an eye out for that information to come up. Schedule events is still to be determined, but include the opening with Chris Roberts, like I mentioned, panel on life in the verse, the ship talk with the news and a new keyword being new and upcoming ships, including a fan favorite, and there's some speculation from some people they're expecting word on the BMM. I've seen no confirmation on that, so I'd say take it with a grain of salt. As well as other panels covering audio behind the game, as well as server meshing and state of persistence and more. Again, we'll be actually live streaming the viewing of CitizenCon with some comments from myself, Jay Scale, and some other members from Amarok's Fang. So check in with us on those days if you want to discuss that with us over the stream chat. Be happy to have you guys. So some exciting things there. I'm expecting definitely some interesting information to be released. What do you think are some things that we may hear?
Well, I mean, I honestly, I zoomed in on the ship panel. It just they were. I feel like if they don't deliver what they've actually written there, they're going to have a lot of hate, because the way it reads is they're going to actually tell us what those mysterious cards are on the tracker, and finally, pop them out. Um, and as we haven't gotten to that point yet, but the ISC video, we talked a little bit about
The struts.
the struts and the random mention of the origin.
Mm-hmm.
So there's talk that brand new ship that's finished development that is the Origin 400i.
Yeah.
Uh, but again, it's all speculation.
Yeah.
They haven't said, and so I mean that's to me that's like a mini Christmas, I guess.
Oh yeah. And as far as hate with CitizenCon, I don't know if you'll ever beat the amount of hate that came out when they got the gigantic ice statue of the Carrack and then announced that we're postponing it. I definitely some people I was playing with at the time, oh, there was some hatred, and I don't think you'll ever get past that hatred that when that happened. Oh yeah, we're postponing it until March.
Wow.
So yeah, they get their fair share of hatred off of announcements sometimes.
But I'm hoping. I mean, this is again conversation that you and I had earlier. When they get into the technology stuff and they're talking about the server mesh and whatnot, I'm hoping that they give us a little bit more than just talking about it. They give us a little bit more in terms of. I know they don't answer when questions. They don't give dates and things like that. But they started saying things like about the vulture. They're saying the vulture is going to make an appearance in the PU next year.
Yeah.
Doesn't it's going to be Q1. It could be at the end of the year, but you know, hopefully they'll give us something. Like yeah, we'll have more of this stuff. It's coming next year. It's coming something. I hope
Yeah,
because
because wasn't the vulture on the cards for 316?
I think is it three. I
I
don't remember.
thought because I know. Oh no, because I was looking at it earlier today. Only the Scorpius is on there. I think it was like 317 then. I know it was either 316 or 317, but they also mentioned in one of the videos this week, I think it was about having to rework it though too.
Yeah.
Go back and revisit it and make some changes on some things that didn't work. And from what Jared was saying in the Inside Star Citizen, it sounded like it was because in its current format, you won't be able to stand in it.
Oh, that was Hull A, right?
No, it was on the Vulture.
Oh, well, I mean, a lot of the ships that were, our old concepts that they did a concept for and then they never touched again, like, all of those are gonna have to be reworked,
Oh
right?
yeah,
Because the player metrics and the ship metrics have all changed, so
yeah,
he does go in a little bit more detail on the Holly on that, but
yeah. So, and that brings us, we're going to kind of change it up this week. We're going to talk about Star Citizen Live before Inside Star Citizen, just because there was a lot of interesting information inside Star Citizen. But I'm going to let you take the Star Citizen Live there because this is more up your alley here, J Scale, and you're a little more in tune with the whole lore side of things.
So there was a lore post that they put out earlier in the week. I think it was Tuesday or Wednesday, and it was about it was I think they call it a guide to regeneration. And it specifically is trying to build a story around how regeneration is going to work and how it's not cloning, why you only get so many regenerations, the technical limitations of the technology and whatnot. And so the first part of the Star Citizen Live was the whole thing was a Q&A for the lore, the narrative team, which is responsible for the lore. And so the whole first portion, I'll say more than half of it seemed was on regeneration, and then the last portion of it kind of closed out with questions around the gangs and pyro and whatnot.
Yeah.
Um, I felt like too many of the answers for the regeneration is, and this made me a little bit nervous. But I guess where we are right now with the gameplay and where they are with medical and whatnot, it makes sense. It feels like it's a little bit rushed. There was a lot of people poking holes at in what they published, and so that was a lot of the questions. So, they clarified that regeneration is not cloning. You basically you they have these things called Ibrahim spheres that they got from the Vandal. Dr. something something Ibrahim is the guy that figured out how to make them work, but nobody knows how they actually work. But you basically take a photocopy of yourself, which is your memories, basically you, scars, scratches, and all, and it stores it in this sphere. So if you do end up dying, for whatever reason, they can regenerate you from that copy. Um, Over time, the copy is going to degrade, and then so that'll limit how many times you can actually be regenerated. They hinted, or they put into the lore space for mechanisms for the developers to put some economy around it.
Hmm.
So depending on the level of the technology used. So if you get in theory, if you go to Grimhex and you get your imprint done there, your regeneration experience isn't going to be all that it's cracked up to be.
You get what you
And
pay for.
yeah, and you may end up being passing on to next of kin sooner than somebody who's gone to Orison and dropped some big coin.
Yeah.
Um, they talked about how you can have a traumatic echo, which is depending on how you die, you may come out with even more scars or an arm that no longer works because you were crushed. So you may come out and you'll need a prosthetic arm or a prosthetic leg or something, even though your imprint didn't have that, right? You had
Hmm.
all of your arms and legs, but all of this stuff isn't in game yet, and a lot of it, like I said, was they were building in a ton of stuff for the developers to put these mechanisms in place and for it to not be abused. There were questions around whether or not we could hack the Ibrahim spheres,
And
steal the spheres, wipe the spheres, and they felt like that would open it up to too much griefing or a griefing mechanism.
yeah.
So it
'Cause
sounds like it'll be protected. Go ahead.
Yeah, because they had mentioned once it degrades down to a certain point that basically you're not going to be able to regenerate anymore, and that's going to be what they refer to as a wipe. Not to scare everybody out there that the database is going to get wiped if you die, but they're
Yeah.
calling it a wipe as well. And they were scared that somebody wanting to grief you, or if let's say I wanted to give Jay Scale a hard time, I sit over him as he keeps regenerating, killing him over and over again until finally he can't recoup again. They don't want to make that a possibility.
Yeah. But so the thing that I didn't hear them explain is, why I can't. So I imprinted. I didn't use any of my imprints. It's degrading over time. Um, why can't I just go now that I've made a bunch of money hauling cargo that isn't possible to do yet? Um, why can't I go and just get a new imprint done? So that's one gap that I felt like I didn't hear them address yet.
Yeah, because if you get one imprint, you should be able to go and, it's just like updating your computer. You get an imprint when you're 20, but now
Yeah,
you're 50 and you just want to get another one done to bring you back to where you're at that time. That should be available.
and they did hint around that um, if like for when they were talking about role players, where you may want to go and refresh your imprint. But I think because the game mechanics aren't there and they haven't made decisions as to how this is going to play out, I don't. I feel like they didn't want to dig too deeply into that. Like every so often, you're going to want to go get re-imprinted
Yeah.
so that your latest memories are kept there, or you're up to date, so you haven't forgotten a whole bunch of stuff. It's still in flux. They asked about uh, regeneration in Klesher. Like, why, if you're a prisoner, do they care about regenerating you?
Because they want you
Um,
to serve your sentence and serve your time, not sleep through it.
yeah, and that was the actually the I'll say that was the funny part of the conversation was, rather than putting you on ice and letting you serve 60 years and then pop you back out, it'll go by in a blink for you, right? And
Yeah.
what have you learned? You've learned really nothing. You just got
Hmm.
frozen and you thawed out. So, so that's what their explanation is for Klesher. I'm trying to
I
think.
mean,
What
unless
else?
they put you on ice and force you to learn how to knit like they did in Demolition Man.
Well, yeah, they went into a whole bunch of stuff, a whole bunch of different ways that people do it. Like carbon black, you're basically put into memory.
Yeah.
And then I missed the reference. It was something a movie I haven't seen, but apparently, was it a Star Trek film? I don't know, something where they were talking about one of the characters was forced to live 60 years in in like I don't know a few minutes, so that they could experience the torture of being in prison for 60 years, but not actually serving a 60-year
Ah.
term. But anyway, there was a lot of stuff like that. Again, it felt like it was a little premature. I think they needed to have some more conversations and a little more exploration around what they can and can't do, um, as far as how this is going to actually impact the gameplay. The other thing is they didn't want to have more than one of you floating around the verse at a time. They didn't want you to have an army of clones. So that was another reason why they were doing it in this weird way. Um, so they went into the gangs of Pyro, which has been a couple. I think there were a couple ISCs or Star Citizen Lives, where they've gone into them. They're pretty interesting. So there were questions around who owns, how often Ruin Station is going to change hands. There's like an ongoing civil war for control of Ruin Station in
Yeah.
Pyro between Xenothreat and was it the Headhunters?
I think it was the
Um,
Headhunters. Yeah.
they're the two. It sounded like they were the two biggest gangs there. There are questions around whether or not people could join the Overlords. Um, and I forgot. I'm missing one. Anyway,
Well,
there was a lot.
the fire rats.
There were fire rats as well. There was a question around how many gangs are actually out there. I think they said that there are 11 total, but right now I think they've only fleshed out 4 or 5 of them.
Yep.
But I don't remember hearing about the headhunters. I remember the fire rats. I remember Nine Tails, Xenothreat, and one other one that I can't remember now. But yeah, that was those videos are always hard to watch because they're very dry. They're very unless you're really, really into the lore and really wanting to learn all this
Yeah.
stuff and have all these questions. So I do
It's
my
easy.
best.
Yeah, it's easy to get sidetracked, and I know that it sounds like Pyro is going to live up to what they want it to be, a lawless system where you're going in there at your own risk, and if you're having to deal with 11 different gangs that could approach you at any given time, you're going to need escorts. You're going to need, defense capabilities. So it sounds like it's panning out to really embody that lawless kind of side of things.
Well, one of the interesting things they said in that video was a comment about Ninetales running Grimhacks,
Hmm.
and I've never even I don't remember ever seeing anything about that. I mean, it makes sense that a gang would be running Grim Hacks. Just visit there for 5 seconds. But um, so I don't know. Will Ruin Station be like Grim Hacks? Will you be able to actually go in there and actually do stuff and then bug out at your own risk? But or will it truly be like if you try to set down there, it's hostile unless you have reputation with whichever faction is in control?
Or I mean, they could very make it or they could very easily make it to where, yeah, you can set down there, but you're going to pay a hefty price for their services.
Yeah,
Because fuel is going to be in short supply in Pyro. Any kind of anything to survive is going to be in short supply in Pyro. So Ruin Station is going to be about your only place to stop and get stuff.
yeah. Yeah. There's somebody was mentioning that there might be outposts and some other things, but because it's an abandoned system, I don't. It doesn't sound like there's going to be a whole lot there because they
Yeah.
in that one of the ISCs a while back, or was it SC Lives a while back? They flat out said that it's not a requirement, but it would be a really good idea if they had refueling in game before they opened up Pyro.
Yeah. And I'm sure they're going to throw things in there that it's going to make it lucrative for somebody to go there and risk, getting their tail shot off by going there. So they're going to put a reason for people to go there. It's just going to be a question whether they just take on that risk and decide to do it, or if they play it safe and stay in Stanton.
Yeah,
So, but yeah, definitely. I mean, if you're into the lore, definitely some good information on that in there. Me personally, I'm kind of along the same lines. I had a real difficult time kind of keeping track of where they were going with it and everything. But that brings us to Inside Star Citizen. And this is what really caught my attention this week. And I'll say two words only that caught my attention, and that is ejection cam. I am gonna use the hell out of that thing.
there's no. But if you eject an atmosphere, that's one of the problems that I have with these ejection seats. If you eject an atmosphere, it's pointless. There's no parachute on the seat, and I get you don't need a parachute in space, but if you eject an atmosphere, you're going to need something to prevent you from smacking into whatever body you're on.
Well, my hope is one day they'll put a parachute on the chair. It'd be nice. It'd make sense,
Yeah,
but I mean the shot they had of the ejection cam that actually looked pretty damn funny because I think you might have even been on stream with us when we did it. Shots of Danger trying to eject himself through another ship is always interesting. If you can get that in a close-up camera view, it's that much better.
yeah,
You go through the two side portals on a Connie, and if you can make it through, you're good to go. You can't do it on a Retaliator anymore because they're taking away those hatches.
yeah. You did
So,
on a Aurora.
yeah, exactly. So with the Inside Star Citizen, Jared is on this rhyming kick. Every video's got a rhyme, but it was basically a full-length sprint report with a lot of information really packed into one. I think it was like 18-minute show. He went over the EUPU working on the locking crates with the availability of doing cutting tools, and this is what really caught my eye is the ones with combo locks. You're going to have to get the combination from somewhere else in the game. So, how they're going to go about giving you clues or letting you know what combos go with what boxes will be definitely interesting. But this goes into that whole loot system that they're coming up with and that extra step you're going to have to take if you're going to want the stuff. So, I found that very interesting. And of course, laser trip mines. And this one, I think we're going to make a lot of use out of in the org there, J Scale. The focus is obviously on the derelict ships with puzzles and traps, booby traps throughout the ship. The ability to use environmental items such as boxes and all that to trip them up. And then my favorite part, you can use the dead bodies.
Yeah, that was awesome.
That I love. Kill somebody, take their body, set off a trip mine, and the chain reactions. There's going to be videos out there of people, like they said in the video. It's Rube Goldberg. They set off a chain of seven trip mines. through a tube into multiple to split in two different directions, people are going to come up with some very interesting things to do with these. I think we're going to see a lot of videos with people coming up with new ways for this.
Yeah, definitely.
And then, of course, some of the minor stuff, ASOP update, conversion into building blocks. It's going to look the same for now. And of course, improved performance. I know, I think we've all seen it. You try to do your claim on a ship. It takes like 30 seconds before it pops in to allow you to expedite it. And then once you expedite, it's like another 30 seconds before it allows you to go back to the main menu. Or you try to claim and it just freezes up. So this should improve the performance of the ASOPs. I think that's definitely a great step to take, and I think having a little bit improved performance there is going to benefit everybody. The onboard displays, power states either on or off, and this video addresses the fact that they're going to try and take it to another step beyond that. Not really pertinent to anybody's ability to play the game. It's more aesthetics. This one caught my eye because I didn't really hear much about this, and that's the mining interface and mining gadgets. Because we know the modules, but there hasn't been a whole lot of information about these mining gadgets that I've seen, unless I just overlooked it.
No, they reported them a few months back, talking about mining gadgets coming, but then it kind of faded out, and it hasn't shown up in any of the cards for the releases. It's on the progress tracker, but it's one of those things that they were periodically visiting, and then silence. There was no further anything on them.
And I'm assuming that, from what he was saying in the videos, these are going to be placed on there to assist with, well, as he put it, asteroids. He specifically said asteroids in the video. So are these going to work alongside with your modules and give you different benefits to be able to break different size rocks that you would normally have trouble with? And from what I saw, it looks like there'll be several different versions, obviously. But this could definitely be a plus for all the people that enjoy mining out there and the ability to maximize their profits.
Yeah, I think the trouble with them in one of the talks that they had, I can't remember which one it was, but when they were talking about these, it will be to it'll be like the surge and things like that, where it either makes it easy, more stable, whatever. But there's an interface. I don't know if when you're watching the video, like there was an interface where you kind of have to match, adjust a few sliders to basically make the waveform match
Yeah.
to activate it. But the downside they were saying is that you physically have to get out of your ship to go put it on the rock,
Yep.
and then they're one time use.
Right.
So there's a downside. So I'm hoping that there's a reward there for the risk. Yeah, you're flying out there with your prospector. You bring a buddy along in like a small little ship, like a single seater, for like fighter coverage or something, and you make them get out and put the thing on.
Yeah, exactly. So aside from that, we also saw a clothing update for the NPCs in the retail outlets. Jared's hoping that he sees a Grim Hex Surgeon and a Bloody Whammers apron. Of course, we'll have some interesting stuff there according to the narrative people there. As far as that, it's going to be the people that you see in all the shops and some different iterations of their uniform. Right now, they're just in random clothing for the most part. And then, of course, that Theta Geo for the bonus aesthetics for full sets of armor of the same type. You can still mix and match, but like we were talking before with the RSS, if you have the full RSS set, it's going to give you that extra flair with the cowl. Where if you have, say, like I wear a paladin helmet with a Ave Shrike armor set, you're going to be missing that little extra flair. Now, the one thing I didn't notice that they said that the flare really gives any added bonus or benefit to the durability of the suit. So it seems like it's just mostly cosmetic to me.
Yeah, that's how I took it. Like they had them. They had in the video. They had the guy put on the helmet from the RRS, and then a different chest piece to show that the cowl didn't show up, and then they put the matching RRS armor chest piece on, and then the cowl showed up. which I think is cool. But yeah, it didn't. They didn't. It didn't sound like that they were saying that it it was just visuals.
Yeah.
Like it wasn't adding anything.
Yeah, and that's how I took it as well. And of course, we already talked about the eject cam, and they're continuing to work on the bombing. As we discussed earlier, the A2 is coming in 315, and it'll be interesting to see how they work that Moab and whether both the Moab and the cluster bombs are going to be available at launch. So we'll have to wait to see that. The intoxication is coming in along with the medical gameplay and the fact that, well, if you try to fly or drive drunk, they were showing how the system is going to react to your inputs, including showing how your input is this, but the system changes it to a different degree to provide that effect. And as we've said before, Amarok's Fang will be fully testing this system out. And of course, our Ares Starfighter overview, that thing looked absolutely gorgeous. I could not believe the visuals on that. I am excited for that ship. Some questions still, as far as like the ammunition for the Inferno. As far as I think, I was talking to Crywo the other day, and somebody calculated based on original specs that you're going to get about a total of less than 30-second trigger pull before you're out of ammo on the Inferno if there's not some type of adjustment made for the combat changes that were made in 313.
Yeah, because that's
Or 314, should I say?
yeah. But I mean, for a ship that's classified as like a cap killer, or you're supposed to be chasing them down, a 30-second trigger pull isn't going to do much.
Right. And for the most part, even if you do it into short bursts, you're not going to do a whole lot of damage. I mean, it's going to be interesting to see how they handle that. Of course, the ion is an energy weapon, so you're just going to have to change the capacitors to provide a little extra power to that, and you don't have to worry about actually running out of ammo. But I mean, they do look great though, and that
Yeah.
black and red trim on the Inferno, I can't wait to get mine out of the hangar. Which also brings us to the Redeemer. Now, the Redeemer, they showed some more shots of it, and I really hope they don't do this. The motion interior, it, it, I could not bring myself. I love the Redeemer. I can't wait to fly it, but please don't make it do this weird breathing thing. I did not like that.
No, I thought it looked odd. It looked out of place. It didn't. It did. Yeah, it doesn't make sense.
No, so hopefully we won't see that. And of course, Jared did say that there's no guarantee that that's going to go into live because it didn't sound like there were a lot of people that were on board with it when they were testing it. But they are doing the glow shaders, which is going to benefit a lot of the polish and final art for many ships. And then, of course, the Redeemer is at the point now where we're definitely going to see it in 315, and I'm excited about that. And that brought us into the ships that aren't coming in with 315, which is the gray box on the Drake Vulture. We talked about this earlier. There were some reworks that they had to do because of, some obstructions and some design changes, but they are still expecting that we're going to see that next year. I actually have one. I I'm not super excited about it. I'm not excited about it because I have the reclaimer, and I think if I'm going to do salvage, I'm probably going to use the reclaimer more than anything. It came in a pack. It looks interesting, but I think I really got to wait for more information on it before I really, go die hard on I'm going to keep it or I'm going to get rid of it and keep my reclaimer.
Yeah, makes sense.
So
I I like the ship myself. I'm interested. I don't know how much I'm going to get into salvaging. I mean, I'll try it out, but
yeah, I think it really comes down to what are they going to do for the salvage component and whether it's enjoyable or not. And I think that's maybe why I'm so much in the air because even if you don't salvage, the Reclaimer is a fun ship.
yeah.
So the Vulture, I'd have a little bit hard time to justify having the ship when it appears to me that it's going to be really more tied to you're not going to have a use for it unless you're doing salvage.
Well, and for for folks who haven't played the game and who folks are going to get into the game, if you think about, you know, when the game is actually live and quote unquote done, in theory, people are going to come in and they're going to pick a career path to follow. You know, the vultures. Well, they're probably going to start out by stripping things by hand, but then the
Yeah.
vulture would be like the first ship that they get in that's focused for their chosen career path, I guess.
Yeah, because we'll have the cutting tool for hand stripping and all that.
Yeah, and I think they're aren't they? I know that they've got a dedicated tractor beam tool, not just the attachment for the multi tool, but I thought there was one for salvage as well. Maybe I'm just
There may be. I haven't seen much on it in a long time.
yeah. I mean, none of it's in the game yet, but
Yeah. So, and of course, that brings us to the whole A, the whole series, actually. The whole A is in white box, which the whole A is definitely interesting. It's not going to carry a tremendous amount of stuff, but I like the fact that this thing will be able to land whether it's open, closed, fully loaded, or empty. I think that's going to be a bonus for people that want to use it to start getting into entry level cargo trading before moving up to the bigger ships. Um, and as far as all the whole series go, I'm not sure if that feature is going to be available on the B. We know the C cannot land with fully loaded and expanded, and we're not sure if the B is going to be able to yeah, we're not sure if the B is going to be able to land fully loaded either. So that's maybe something that is unique to the A.
yeah, I think it has to do with the way the when it stretches itself out, how it holds the cargo boxes. I think on the A they're just side by side,
Yeah, I think they were. I don't think there's anything going vertical on
and I think the B has side by side and top and bottom.
it. Yeah.
And then when you get into the C, the D, the E, it's like a Christmas tree.
Yeah. Yeah. I have the D, so I'm going to be breaking some economy when I get that thing in. So, but the interior shots that they showed definitely looked very, very interesting. It's going to be about the size of a prospector, and it's going to have very similar accommodations as the prospector. Obviously, bed, bathroom, eating, cockpit. It it actually looked like a really nice ship.
Yeah, I liked it. I think
So
though, when I was looking at those white box shots, I don't agree with Jared. It doesn't look like it's the same size as the Prospector. It looks like it's got more room.
it, I kind of felt the same, but I kind of take the white box shots with a grain of salt because I mean we definitely saw the white box on the C2 and all that, and there were definitely some variations between all that for final art and everything.
True.
So I think that may be their goal. Now, whether they'll be able to achieve it when they put it into game or not, we'll have to wait and see. So,
Yeah.
but aside from that, we also found out about the whole C. Updating has begun with the thruster trim sheet, the new lights, of course, the new exterior materials. It'll be interesting. Keep an eye on, of course, as we get more information. We'll bring it to you guys. They did actually add VTOL thrusters, which I missed this part on the video. They actually put VTOL thrusters on the Hull C, or did they put it on all of them?
Well, no, he specifically called out the Hull C because they missed it the first time around when they were putting it together.
Mm-hmm.
And in the video, the shots of the thrusters, it looks like they're actually behind doors. So they actually look like they might actually be VTOL as opposed to, maneuvering thrusters that we have on all the other ships that don't have VTOL but are
Yeah.
capable of taking off vertically.
Yep.
So it was really cool.
Yeah, that'll be interesting. And now that Orison is in over on Crusader, they are going to properly move it into geosynchronous orbit above Orison, just like you have with Everest by Genie and Tressler. So that is going to be moving as of 315, they said. It'll be moved when we get 315, won't it?
Yeah, it's supposed to be. Oh well, the way I understood it from the way they were talking about it is when we get into PTU PU of 315, it should be in geosynchronous over Orison.
Yep. So definitely not too major of a change for OLSR, but aesthetically it'll make it look more in conjunction with the other ones. So
I was just gonna say another reason to avoid Orison.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Orison is pretty laggy right now. We were talking about that. It's pretty bad. So, but that's about all the news and information we had this week. Again, CIG is putting little things out there here and there. Nothing super huge. I think right now they're holding most every major thing back for CitizenCon.
Big reveal.
Yeah. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. I mean, every year the rumor is big reveal, big reveal, big reveal. And usually they do pretty well. We'll see what they got. There's a lot of possible exciting things that could be going on this year. And of course, this is the first year we'll be streaming the stream. So we're going to inception that thing. And you can catch a stream of the stream here with us and see what goes on. But I'll definitely be glued to the screen to see what they're going to announce.
Same here.
All right, so that is it for this week. I want to thank J-Scale, obviously, for all the work that he put in for everything. And thank everybody out there for all the support that you give. Don't forget, feel free to throw questions into the comments of the community page on YouTube, or contact me directly with any questions that you'd like us to answer on air. You can hit up the Twitter, the Instagram, or the YouTube, as well as the email at darkhourexperience@gmail.com, and be more than happy to answer any questions that you have. But thank you again for joining us, and everybody have a great evening and enjoy, and we'll catch you next time.
Toodles.